Welcome back to the Manor, Entropians. Julian McBain here, and tonight I am doing some light hunting in Orthos. And I'm going to be talking about gamers and skills that we have that we don't use. But before I get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Manor. Make sure you take a moment and subscribe down below. We are on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. Also, if you are not new to the Manor and you'd like to support, or if you're new to the Manor and you'd like to support my work, please consider becoming a patron. You can do so by clicking on the link to my Patreon down below. Currently, the benefit to becoming a patron is you'll have access to my new ebook, The Modern Entropian, and it's there for digital download for all of my patrons. And so, please consider becoming a patron. Alright, so as you can see, I'm doing some low-key hunting in Orthos. I have been doing this a lot. I've actually come to really enjoy being here just for low-key, laid-back hunting. It's been a great way to wind down after work. I have also noticed that because of my looter skills, I am actually turning a profit for the year, understanding that a lot of it's on the back of losses from last year. So it's not like I just came in here with no money and just started pumping out shots, but I am finding that it's nice to see a positive balance on my balance sheet for a change. So I'm going to keep to it until that rail runs out, and then I'll go back to my normal grinding. Although I'm still getting some good grind out of this. But, so the reason I really wanted to talk tonight, and this is going to be a think piece. My desire is to switch between think pieces and tutorials, at least until my beginner's guide stuff is done. We as gamers are squandering ourselves. I'm going to say that again. We as gamers are squandering our abilities. We spend hours upon hours, especially us Entropia universe players or other MMO players, but to a similar extent, a lot of other games, the grind's the grind. It's just a different type of grind. And actually, because I've started interacting with a lot of the gaming teams on Twitter, and you can find me on Twitter at Julian McBain. I'll drop a link in the description. But I've been interacting with members of the various teams. They all appear to be primarily first-person shooter teams, but I've interacted with Dare, I've interacted with Soar. There's a couple others that I've peripherally taken note of. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but they're all good people. And it's good to know where some people aim to go when they do things like become content creators. Because not all of us follow the same path. Entropia Universe in particular, all of us are fairly independent. We do our own thing. And yet we're almost a team unto ourselves as a group, because one, there's so few of us, and two, because it's hard to be a content creator in this game and not be networked with the other content creators. Like, I'm networked with Serial Overdrive. I'm networked with Lore Spade. I'm networked with Scotty C93. I'm networked with Bob Silent. I'm networking with Obble Dude. And there are other content creators out there that I really need to spend more time getting to know. Like, I would love to be able to get in touch with a couple of my favorite content creators that haven't created, although Raven Jade has just started creating content. Make sure you check out her channel. She puts out some really good stuff. I would love to see Delusionist come back. I would love to network with him. But that's just it. Is we've got it, because there's so few of us. We've pretty much created a network of ourselves because there's not a lot of other support. And if you're interested in becoming a content creator, it would be worth reaching out to existing content creators, because most of us are willing to answer questions. I would be willing to venture a guess if you ask a question of any of us, we'll give our best answer as to what you're facing as a YouTuber or as a Twitch streamer. I might even do a series on just that in Entropia universe. In fact, I think I'll put it on my list for later this year, but I want to get my beginner's guide done first. But that's not really the reason I'm here, and I've got this nasty habit of tangenting, as I'm sure you have all noticed. So, gamers, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it with gusto tonight. We are the biggest untapped resource of potential in the market today. I'm going to say that again. We are the biggest untapped resource of potential in the market today. We as gamers have developed skills that employers need, and yet we don't know how to put them to market to make us money. Largely. There are those of us who do. And I'm not just talking content creators. There are plenty of gamers out there that have full-time jobs where they utilize their skills. Well, they may not even realize that they're developing these skills inside of a virtual environment. But they are. And it's not just in video games. D&D players do it. Tabletop war gamers do it. And it's something that really, it's actually frustrating knowing that we as a community, as a whole, tend to not come to our full potential because we're focused on the game. And there's nothing wrong with being focused on the game as long as you're not neglecting the other aspects of your life. And a lot of us do. And you know who you are. And yeah, I'm calling you out. Why? Because I used to do that too. And am I perfect now? Fuck no. No. Not by a long shot. The difference is I'm working on it. Every day, I grind. I grind out of game at my 9 to 5. I grind out of game in working the channel. I'm in social media, trying to make a name for myself. A bigger name that... I'm making a name for myself, but let's face it, 248 subscribers is not a big name. It's bigger than I was a year ago. But I've got a long way to go. And there's nothing wrong with that. I am on a certain step on my path. I am on that road to 13 million subscribers. This year I will make 1,000 subs. I will find a way to make it happen. I am on that road. I am also on the road to making sure that my real life is taken care of. And how do you do that? Well, one of the biggest skills that a gamer has, especially an MMO player, is the ability to grind for hours and just stick with it. We will do mindless gaming like this, because let's face it, there's not a whole lot of brain power in farming drones for shrapnel and guns, because that's what I'm doing. I'm farming drones for shrapnel and guns, because I can sell Rubios at like 25 to 50%, or no, 50 to 100% markup. Yeah, they're only 9 PEK a piece. Speaking of which, nah, you're not full TT, bastard. Sorry about that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sometimes real life has to take priority and I've got to answer a message. But, where was I? Road to 13 million, squander potential. Oh. I'm developing streams of income. so that at some point I won't have to worry about the real world stuff. And I might be 65 before that happens, or I might be 90. I fully intend to live to 150. And actually, we're pretty sure that those of us who are alive today, if you're under 50, you'll probably live to see 1,000. Or get damn close to it. The technology I predicted, by the way, over 10 years ago, when I first wrote Ghosts of the Past with my ex-wife. That book will be coming back out. I don't know if I'm going to e-publish it. No, I'm probably going to throw it up on Kindle. That will take some time. It's in final edits. I have someone reviewing it, showing the things that I've missed so that I can create a better book. Or you can find a used copy on Amazon. Or the publisher. I don't think the publisher has any remaining stock anymore. But I predicted the aging I called it the aging stasis, and we predicted this back in 2006. And now we have found that you can in fact reverse aging. We don't know the consequences of it yet, because the same things that reverse aging also cause cancer. Tangents. Sorry guys, I went off on a tangent again. But I'm developing those streams of income. I'm making sure my real life is taken care of. And I'm using that ability to grind. That ability to spend long hours doing things that are repetitive and not necessarily what I really want to do in order to make something better. And honestly, it's something that I want all gamers to be able to do. Because it took me years to figure this shit out. I changed industries to learn this. I'm a third-generation grocer by trade. You don't get grindier than working in a fucking convenience store, and I grew up in one. That's not 100% accurate, but my father owned one, so I spent a lot of time there in my childhood. Third-generation grocer. Didn't know how to manage money well. I knew how to budget for the most part. Helps if you can actually stick to it, though. And then I figured out, I ended up going into banking. I'm not in banking anymore. I'm in an associated industry, but I'm not in banking anymore. Because I moved halfway across the country, and job market's a lot tougher in Vermont than it is in North Dakota, come to find out. But I learned finance from the ground up, and I figured out how to use the skills I learned as a banker in my games, and how to use the skills I learned in my games as a banker. Gamers are some of the best financial experts you can find. No, I'm serious. Look in the mirror and you are looking at someone who has the ability to be a financial expert, if you're not already one. And if you're wondering if you're one of those people who, like I used to be, and to a certain extent still struggle with, why is it my expenses always outweigh my paycheck? You're not a financial expert in the real world. You're a financial expert in your game. But guess what, Jack? It's the same skill. It is 110% the same skill. If you can manage finances in a video game, you're damn sure you can do it in real life. And the best way to simulate that is this game right here. This platform. Because this is a real economy. This is real money we're dealing with, folks. If you can manage your PED card, you can manage your debit card. And if you're managing your PED card better than your debit card, you need to take a long look at yourself in the mirror and figure out what the hell is going wrong. Because you'll sit there and you'll sweat a mob for 6 hours in order to make a dollar or two. But you can't focus for the $10 an hour you're making at your 9 to 5. And I use the term 9 to 5 loosely. No one works 9 to 5. Banker hours are a fucking myth. And I say that as a former banker. I really miss being a banker. I like helping people. But I'll debunk the myths about bankers in a different video. It flabbergasts me that people who are so good at managing gold in a D&D game, or PED on a PED card, especially PED on a PED card. If you can manage PED on a PED card and you can't manage your debit card, you've got zero excuses. You're just not trying. D&D is different to the effect that the DM can decide to do a Monty Hall campaign and just give you shitloads of money for no fucking reason. You don't get that in Entropia universe. And you don't get that in a lot of games, especially the hardcore grind games. World of Warcraft, if you play Classic, good fucking luck. You'll be grinding for every fucking copper piece. If you're playing regular World of Warcraft now, forget it. You'll be rolling in gold. The economics of a video game have become so well developed, economists use them for modeling. You manage the gold in your video games, in your D&D games. You manage points values in tabletop war games. And you can't manage your own wallet. And I know this doesn't apply to everyone. Especially in Entropia universe, I've met a lot of very mature professional people. But I've also met a lot of people who basically treat it like a casino. At this point in time, I am writing an ebook. And I'm putting it out there to hold myself accountable to finish the damn thing. And put it out in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm holding myself accountable too. I haven't come up with a final title, but the working title is Personal Finance for Gamers. It's going to be on my Patreon. It will be exclusive to my patrons. And it's a personal finance education by a gamer for gamers. By someone who has dragged people, has helped people go from being on Section 8 housing, sorry, we call it Section 8 in Vermont, on government subsidized housing and food stamps to not needing either. And that's plural, people. That is my biggest brag. To me, that is the biggest thing I take pride in. I helped multiple people, 4 families, drag themselves out of poverty. One of them was me. So it's repeatable. I helped another person break the cycle of credit card debt, something that all of us struggle with. That's the middle class problem. I actually have an article on my website about that. But this is a skill all gamers have, and we use it in our games, and we're really good at using it in our games. We don't use it in real life. And yeah, earning money in a video game is far more fun than it is in real life. Why? Because you don't get to shoot mobs for dollars. It's unfortunate. I wish we could, but you can't. But that doesn't mean that skills don't pour over into each other. We got to take a real hard look at ourselves, guys. I'm serious. When I was a kid, being a gamer was a stigma. We were the outsiders. I am really proud that the thing I love, being a gamer, has become mainstream. You're more likely to be a gamer than not be a gamer now. But we gotta make that a mark of honor, not a mark of sadness. We gotta use the skills that we learned doing the grind. Managing the funds that we manage in a game, we can manage our real funds. It's hard. It's much harder. But it's all applicable. You can do it. Getting promoted at your job, you can do it. You've got the skills. You developed them in the game. Don't think so? Let's take a couple. Problem solving. Seriously. D&D players are better known for this, but all of us face puzzles in most of the games we play. If you've played Final Fantasy X, you're really good at puzzle solving, because those fucking temples you have to go into are just gigantic puzzles. Portal! And if you haven't played Portal, go play Portal. Shut this video off and go play Portal and come back and then finish the video. It'll only take you like 3 hours anyway. You can finish it in one setting for the average gamer. I think I played it twice in one day. The first day I played through the whole game, and then I played it again. God, that was like 4 years ago. Now if I don't play it once every few months, I kind of get antsy. Problem solving. And there are two ways we handle problem solving as gamers. We ram our head against it until it's fixed, or we break it down into chunks and eat them. Teamwork. Teamwork with strangers. People you've never met. I can go out right now to Camp Icarus. I can form a team of like 5 or 6 people, and we can go hunting something that individually we have no business hunting, and we'd come out on top. It's even more true for games like World of Warcraft, where you have to learn mechanics and rotations and things specific to your class, and knowing how you interact with other classes. Even more so if you do it with a guild that's forming teams and developing relationships. These are all things we do for a game. You can absolutely do it in real life. Because, newsflash, folks, business is a game. Or it's a series of games. Life is a game. Life is a series of games based on rules that we have mutually agreed upon. And that's not just me. That's like professional psychologists handle it like that. So think about what skills you might have learned inside of a game that can help you in real life, and then put it to the test. Hell, even raw stubbornness is a skill. Tenacity, fortitude. Not giving up until the job is done. That's every boss fight in every game ever. All the way back to fucking Ninja Gaiden, the original NES game. I know this video has been a bit harsh. But unfortunately, sometimes life turns and you're given a little too much time to think. Mistakes you've made, the good, the bad, the ugly, the things you could have done, the things you should have done. And as I was doing it, as I was sitting up, I actually thought about this as I was sitting at my Patreon of all things. Imagine where I would have been if I had done things just a little different. Now imagine how much different the world would be if all of us sitting at our computers would just do the right things to make our lives a little bit better, using the skills we learned, ironically, from the very thing that distracts us. I honestly think video games will set us free. I do. Being gamers will set us free, but we have to be willing to do the work and figure out this digital space, figure out this digital thing that it's less than 50 years old. It is literally a whole new world. And if we can show the value of it, if we can prove the value of this space by using the skills we learned in it in the analog world, then all of the bullshit we put up with as gamers, especially that whole video games cause violence nonsense, you can't tell me that doesn't grate on you. It grates on me. We prove that the skills developed in a game are worthwhile, and all of that bullshit disappears. So what will you do? Will you take that next step? If you're interested in the top 3 skills that I think gamers have but squander, and I put myself in there as well in a lot of ways, although I think I've gotten a lot better over the course of the last 5 years. Click on the link in the description. It'll take you to an article on my website, the top 3 skills that gamers squander, or I should say, the 3 skills that gamers have that we don't use to help us in our analog lives. Give it a read, drop a comment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe down below. We're on the road to 13 million subscribers, one subscription at a time, so make sure you subscribe. And once again, please don't forget, if you want to support my work, please consider becoming a patron. I really appreciate the support. Guys, as always, thank you. If you made it this far, I'm impressed. I've kind of been harsh this time around. But I do think as gamers, we have a future that we have not grasped yet. I think it's time for us to take it, folks. You all have a good night.